Welcome back to the show. Today's topic, being a gentleman. What is a gentleman? We've seen it popular culture in movies, TV shows. It's been that horse has been beaten to the ground, and we've lost all concept and reality as to what is a gentleman. I mean, just the word gentleman, when I say it, sparks up more comedy in my mind than anything dealing with chivalry or being a certain way. Now, depending on where you are in your life, if you're completely in a negative mindset, or in certain situations in your mind, the word gentleman can be associated with negative thoughts, being weak, being a pushover, being not set in your footing. And we'll get to that, but it's just funny when you hear, or just ask yourself, like, what is a gentleman, or just say the word gentleman, and you almost have a comical view of it, not as it did maybe, um, what, 50 years ago. The word gentleman was associated with a just a different kind of man, a higher standing man, and in the glimpse of an eye, it's become almost a pun, a joke, a sign of emasculation as opposed to a sign of masculinity. Um, but, anyways, so what is a gentleman? A gentleman is, just by the name of it, he's gentle. He's a gentleman. It's pretty self-defined, self-defined or defining in the in its word, right? But it's someone that's noble, or gentle, and has a high standard on in his behavior, in just the way his mannerisms are, his ethics, his moral compass, how he guides his life is gonna be in such high standard. And it might not be for you, but in himself, he has that uh, pretty high up there. At least that's what it is considered in its core. Um, in its core, that's what it is. Just being a gentleman. Now, depending on where you hear the definition, or who you hear it from, where you learn it from, it can lead to a ton of other attributes that are added to being a gentleman. Um, and that's great, that they are, but when they do these, it puts more pressure on the word as to just what it means, and we'll get to as far as, like, why I'm harping on that part um, of it, because it's just, like I said, just depending on where, and just the way the internet and how information is so easily accessible, depending on where you hear that definition being explained, or what definition they've attached to the word of a gentleman, can lead to a huge uh, cascade, I guess, of actions that can lead someone into a negative or positive uh, output, or path that can change life paths. So it's an important thing to be able to understand the decipherment of information, and from the sources that we're getting it. But so when you ask men about being a gentleman, you're normally associated with dating and relationships, with the being nice, paying for the meal, opening of the doors, etc. Just being overall chivalrous, being overall, aiming to please, and always having that. Some will call it a servitude mentality or a serving uh, uh, ethic to yourself. And it will be accurate. It's not that it's not accurate, or it's wrong. It's pretty accurate, but for the most part, we associate it with just relationships and romantic relationships. But it also it's also in our professional life and with friends and families, where we should, and some do, not many but few, do show the same gentleman trait in their love life, in their professional life, in their friends and family and acquaintance. They still show that level of being a gentleman, and when you do that, that's when you are a true gentleman. When those actions are just part of you, which I've said it before, you have to strive to be that, and the only way you can be that, is to be as much, and not a gentleman, to just be better, is to be as good as you could be in whatever it is that you are trying to be as good as you can in as many aspects as you can, and then you can be called, whatever it is that you, in your field, that you want to be called. But many of us only focus it on dating and not in our profession, or sometimes we are gentlemen in our with our families and friends and acquaintances, and we are a gentleman at work, but we are not gentlemen in our love lives and are rude, disrespectful. So there's a spectrum to either or, but many are just either, with most anyways, just associate being a gentleman while you're dating, or are dating and courting, or in a relationship with a wife, whatnot. But practicing being a gentleman at work and just with normal people, your friends, your families, and people you run across, is a very good habit to 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 have. And it's not because you're masterminding this great whatever. It's just that process then leads to making someone's day, changing someone's outlook. How many times I've done something where I just a little bit as opening the door for someone while walking into a 7-Eleven is like, I've heard everything from, oh, there are gentlemen's left, and oh my god, thank you so much, that's very gentlemanly of you. And before, when I was younger, I would look at it as a negative, as saying, well, I'm just opening the door. My mind wasn't mature enough. It was almost the same when I was younger. When I was called handsome, it bothered me to no degree. Now, that I'm older, I understand what those words mean. So when I'm called a gentleman, when I'm called, you know, uh, handsome, I don't get offended. Now I understand the compliment, and I take the compliment, and I know what that compliment means. So I'm able to then, direct my interactions accordingly because of that, and given those, parameters or whatnot. But because the word gentleman, or being a gentleman, is seen in a bad light, that's why I'm advocating to do gentlemanly things in every aspect in your life. Because again, if you just do it in your dating aspect and you're not doing it in your other aspects in your life, and you're fake, you're forging something, you're trying to force something that's not really you, and it's the even if it's lacking in other parts, that maybe you're not a gentleman with your family or your friends or your acquaintances. Maybe you're a gentleman at work but not with your love life or family. So whatever it is, it has to be over just something that comes off naturally. It's the same thing when you see a giver that gives naturally. It just flows out of him. It's not something that comes or it feels forced. And when it's someone that is forced, that doesn't want to, you could see it in their face. You could see it in the way their tonality is coming out of their voice, that they don't want to be there. They don't want to donate nothing. They don't want to, be giving up this time like this. So it's there is no different, but I want to make sure, or I not that I want to make sure, but I being a gentleman needs to be seen in a more positive light, because it just leads to not only at work, it makes everyone more comfortable. It makes everyone understand that when they come across with you, that you're going to come off professional, polite, caring, understanding, that you're going to hear them out, that you're going to be diligent, that you're not going to rush. That's what that calming um, attribute that is with a gentleman, because that person's always going to have the high standard. Maybe not the whole, and some people associate, being an alpha male uh, with being a gentleman, and that's, I guess you can, but it's just with being a masculine male or positive energy male. When you're in that state, you're just gonna automatically flow into it. And being a gentleman it's not something you be cognizant of. It's just something that is going to happen. It's going to just bust out of you, and no matter how much you even try to fight it, you can't, because that's what is going to come out of you. And it's interesting that people associate it only in small circles, not as big as it should be, but it's only because of that sure-footedness, that calm essence, where a gentleman doesn't have to worry or be fake. He's gonna stand up when a lady stands up or goes to the restroom. He's gonna stand up when he comes back. I mean, I've done that so many times, and people freak out all the time at me, and they're like, "Oh, you don't have to do that." I'm like, you could tell me not to do it. I'm going to do it. It's just something that it instinctually comes out of me, and this is something that was one of the rare things that was done right in what was shown to me, was what a gentleman should do. And I saw the correct way to do it, as opposed to where I'll get to, where we now have the word gentleman being thrown through mud and have negative connotations. So many act uh, like being a gentleman uh, is like a lack or a negative. It's there's no benefit in being a gentleman, because as it says, you have to be gentle, you have to be caring, you have to be vulnerable, as they say. And I think that's the mistake. It's not being vulnerable, it's seeming vulnerable because you're super caring. But that's the what makes a true gentleman a if quote unquote, if you want to call him an alpha male, is that he could change that in an instant, and turn into a beast, turn into that hard person that he needs to be in the turn of a dime, because he's being pushed to it. But that's where the difference is, that when you have the quote unquote nice guy, that is then associated with a gentleman. But when he's approached, everything seems the same. Oh yeah, it seems similar. He's doing everything, he's mimicking. But when push comes to shove, he backs down, as opposed to a true gentleman is gonna then shove back. And that is the essence, where, oh my God, he's a true alpha, or he's a true man. No, it's just that it's just a gentleman. It's just someone that had, like I said, he's okay with himself, in what he is, but he understands that if it comes down to it, there has to be a switch, and that's what we have to get back to, as opposed to this negative connotation as saying, "Oh, all these weak, you know, quote unquote beta males that." Those are the gentlemen. Those are the ones that are getting stomped on. The ones that are not getting the promotion is the nice gentlemen, the ones that don't want to cause any ruckus, that don't want to, cause, do any drama. And again, that couldn't be farther from the truth of what a gentleman is. A gentleman is it's, again, caring, soft, compassionate, and all that, but he's also, uh, I want to say a firm, but that's not. He's just firm in his decision. He's still uh, that that being a gentleman, and that in that essence, it's gonna bleed into other attributes that us men have, of course, and it's gonna be, oh, then it leads. Oh my God, he's so sure-footedness. He's so in control of himself. But it all stems from just being a gentleman in every aspect, and because that's gonna soften you up to care, and again, whatever listings you want to call it in an alpha male, one of them is protector, and to protect you have to be gentle. You can't, yeah, everybody, oh, you have to protect you. Like, I don't get me wrong. Everybody thinks about the male and that, but look at the female or animal when it protects something. It also uh, shows love to it. But when you try to fight it, it turns on a dime and it protects its young. And I know, again, this is a show for men, and that's probably not the best analogy. But in the animal world, honestly, if you look at, there's some exceptions, and I'm sure someone could tell me, but what animals do. But for the most part, when animals or male animals are pretty just let me get my food, and that's kind of it. Um, but in some cases, as far as us mammals, what we have grown to see is that a protector is also gentle with those that he is protecting. So it's not because he wants to, seem weak. No, but because he, obviously with the people that he loves, he's gonna have his walls down. So when people come and try to destroy that, guess what? That gentle man is gonna turn into a vicious warrior, and be that protector, be that leader, be that, and so on and so forth. And I hope you guys get what I'm saying, is that being a gentleman leads to all these other attributes that we associate with being a top alpha male, high quality male. But it all starts with being a true 100% gentleman, not just in dating and relationships, but in every aspect, which, it includes professional, it includes, family and friends and acquaintances, alongside with dating and relationships. And once you do that in all those aspects, that's when you just ooze out your alphaness, as you want to call it, your high quality male. You don't hear that with high caliber males, about all these little things that you have to do and manipulate. No, 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 no. It's just gonna be. It is just because it's you, and that's it. And once you do that, everything. That's when you hear, "Oh, the world is your oyster," and the world is this. It's not that the world is your oyster. It's that you're just gonna move around the world in this state of servitude, in this state that, at any point you could crack anybody's face or whatever, but you choose to be uh, a man of peace. You choose to be a man of love. You choose to be a man of higher, understanding. Not, definitely making it known, or not, if it gets there, that you could you could switch it on them, but that's not your priority. Your choice is to diffuse. Your option is to love. Your option is to be courteous, to show others the way you want to be treated. If you want a door being held for you, then you hold the door for someone else. If you want someone to say excuse me, thank you, or please and may I, then you should do the same. And you lead by example, and if you and to get the same treatment that you want. And the reason it sounds like I'm just going off on a bunch of adjectives, I guess, but it's because for groups of men, for a larger group of men, the word gentleman is equated with a word that I hate because I think it's just used as a slur now. But to be a gentleman is to be a simp. And if you don't know what the word simp is, I'm not gonna define it here. Look it up. But that's where we're at now, where being a gentleman and being having gentleman attributes gets you laughed at, gets you called names online, gets you ridiculed, and so it's just about time she's gonna cheat on you, and oh, you're too much of a nice guy. It's only a matter of time before you get fired and stuff like that. So you know the men are afraid to even try to be gentlemen. So now their option is to be dicks and then say, this girl, is whatever. She couldn't. She was this, and that, or my wife was this, and the other, because the message being put out is that women are the problem, that women are this and that. Again, they hold you their fair share of it, just like we do, but because we're moving farther and farther away from the chivalry, the from just being a gentleman and placing the blame on women, on hypergamy, on all this other stuff that they don't deserve it, they don't do. No, we at the end of the day, we don't have enough willpower to choose the women and say, you know what, kick them out of bed, change the narrative in that aspect, because we think with the wrong head and we're just trying to tap. And if we're just trying to tap, then whatever, by any means necessary, that is going to occur. So why fight it when you could just go along and join them? And for the most part, the standards have dropped so much, and the dating scene is so effed up right now that you can be rude and have great success in the dating market now, because the message now is so dangerous and so hurtful and corrupt, which is pretty sad for the generation coming up, and it includes my kids, and I'm hoping that they grow up to be, or listening to the message that I not only spill on here, but I tell them on a daily. um but hopefully we could raise gentlemen and make guys understand that being a gentleman is a good thing. Being a gentleman in every aspect of your life will and can only lead for you to be having uh, a higher quality of life. Um, so being a gentleman will open all kind of doors for you. And don't believe me, ask people that have shit. Don't ask people that are broke or that don't have anything. Go ask people that have money. Go ask people that have true love. Go ask people that have quality friends. Go ask people that have huge families that are abundant and thriving. Go ask them and tell me if being gentleman, being nice, being noble, and having high standards in your life, the way you behave, the way you move through the world, if it doesn't open doors for you. And I know no one cares about the families and the relationships. I mean, as far as the friendships and with the family and acquaintances, and no one cares about the work. All everyone cares about is the physical relationship, the girlfriend, the wife, the whatever, just the female male, dynamic. And trust me, I don't care what you're gonna hear, you're going to get way more success and a lot closer to scoring, if that even the way it's even said, to getting laid if you are a gentleman. You know how many stories I hear, how many young, not online, not any bullshit like that, just in my normal where I work, and how many young kids come at me, and then they're, oh yeah, they'll tell me about a girl a couple weeks later. I'm like, oh, so how's that thing going? Oh, I'm not seeing that girl no more. She's a, and starts calling her a bunch of names. And I'm like, well, so what's up? What happened? And they'll tell me the story of how it went and what, how it ended from being good to not talking no more, or whatever the story took. And it's usually when they turned into this asshole. And because they heard it, oh, and then just I'm not saying that they heard it from any kind of coach, but just the words that were coming out of their mouths were like if they were coming out of the, again, quote unquote, of the manosphere. Oh, these women ain't shit, these women are all cheaters, these women are all this women are all that. So it was a lot more of this stuff where you're just self-sabotaging because nobody wants a dick. A woman wants to she wants a dick in the bedroom, and I get that it's a double entendre, but she wants a man. That man has to come out in the bedroom. When she's out in public, he wants her to respect her, to be a gentleman, to open the car door, to do all that stuff. But you have to understand where in that emotional part where your role is, and that's where a lot of men don't want to bother uh, understanding that, because it's too nuanced. It's too it's like a fine-tuned car. You have to understand how to shift gears, how to go from one, two, three, four, five, and how to drop it from fifth gear to first gear to third, and then pop it up to third gear. Guys they don't want to put that time. They want to go from 1 to 5 and keep it that way. They don't want to change nothing. So if you want to treat them, they're going to treat you that way no matter what. And you see it react, you see it in normal life. Go out to your store, go out to a Walmart, Kmart, whatever grocery store, and just look at people and look at how some guys aren't being gentlemen, and how the girls are reacting towards them, or how they're not reacting towards them. Understand that. But if you would just switch your mind and accept the fact that being a gentleman will get you a far better result, you'll get to your destination a whole lot quicker, and you'll have a lot more options, even if they don't work out. And I get it, everybody wants to think only about the sexual stuff, but if you're a gentleman, it's going to open, like I said, it's going to open more doors. Networking, you're going to have more opportunities to branch out to ideas, people to help you. Your quality of life or relationships with your friends and families and acquaintances are going to just be even more strong, because they know you're genuine. They know you're going to be there. They know you're going to be honest. You're going to be humble. You're not going to be full of yourself. You're going to be, attentive, and again, I just went over the girlfriend part. That is just, you're going to leave a good impression on them, but you have to start understanding the nuances where she wants you to be, a dick hard. Again, I have the word. I'm saying the worst stuff when I'm saying, when she needs you to be mean, when she needs you to be soft, when she needs you to be a listener, when she needs you to to give your opinion, when she needs you to be, her masseuse, to when she needs you to be her knight in shining armor, to where she needs you to be that guy that's gonna, rough her up a little bit. That's the thing, and I wish more guys would get back into understanding the nuances that is a woman's emotion, and how to ride that without being a dick, where it's really, no woman wants that. And so many women keep on saying no, 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 no. But it's like, oh, women don't know what they want. No, it's not that women don't know what they want. Is that they choose who they want. They justify who they chose, and then they give that a chance, and then they're like, okay, I'm hoping that he's going to respect me enough. I'm hoping that he's going to respect me enough. And then they don't, and then they leave, or they cheat or whatever, because some guy that was a little bit sweeter but yet a little bit mean at the same time just rubbed her the wrong way, or you just completely rubbed her the wrong way, that she just fucking said, I'm out. But you have to be a gentleman in every aspect for any of this to work. It can't just be focusing on women. It can't just be at your job. It can't just be with your friends and families, or with strangers that you come across. I know a lot of guys that are gentlemen, or seem like gentlemen, out in public to strangers, but treat their kids, their families, their wife like pieces of shit. They don't open the doors. They slam stuff. They're not courteous. They won't open, slide the 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 chair at a restaurant, the car door, the door going into a building, stuff like that, saying excuse me, thank you, moving to the side, letting women go in front of you. There's all these things, mannerisms that men do. Of course, it's like I said in the beginning, it's very simple being you're just a gentle man. It's self-explanatory in the word. But being a gentleman in every aspect, once you learn that, and once you do that, and you have that enough indebted or embedded in your DNA, it's going to be second nature to you, and it's just going to flow off of you. So be cognizant of being a gentleman. I know the popular idea is don't be a jerk, be a dick, be all these things. Don't listen to that shit. Be a gentleman, be nice, be courteous, have standards, have a high standard for yourself. And when you operate from that high standard of behavior, you're gonna keep yourself in check. You're not gonna be scummy. You're not gonna go after your homeboy's girl. You're not gonna be dating someone that has a boyfriend. You're gonna show up to work. You're gonna be on time. You're gonna do your a good job at work. You're gonna call your mom. You're gonna keep in contact with your family. You're gonna always all that stuff. When you're wrong, you're gonna say sorry. You're gonna take ownership. That is being a gentleman. Let's get back to that, and that's gonna I guarantee you, it's only gonna improve your quality of life in every aspect. I know most men are only focused on being, how can I get rewards sexually, and I get it. That's the most important relationship for an adult. Even though I don't know if we should move from it, because it's just DNA, it's just behavior, it's what we're used to. But we have to start going back to understanding just what our opposite sex wants, and just not even our opposite sex. Let's take it further. What our culture wants from us, what it needs from us, and it needs us for men to return to being gentlemen, but being true gentlemen in every aspect of our life. So I hope I made you guys think. Share the video, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Thank you guys for listening. Until next time, remember, it's okay to be a gentleman.